Just a little bit about myself. I started playing. I'm from Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, and I, got into basketball. Didn't know what I wanted to do, basketball or football, and I kind of started out, started to jump higher and was more athletic, and made a decision early that I wanted to, concentrate on basketball. I'm sure some of you guys probably played 2 or 3 sports, and something I found out, back then is, if I wanted to get better, if I wanted to get to the next level, if I wanted to make the high school team, if I wanted to make it to college, if I wanted to make it to the NBA, or make it overseas, which I eventually did, I had to concentrate on basketball. Because, as I went overseas, I saw younger kids that, like, for example, he was 17 years old, and I'm 30 years old, fresh out of the NBA. I saw guys who I played with on my team. It was all you guys' age, plus espoirs. I know you guys know what espoirs are, the younger teams overseas. So you have to concentrate right now. I mean, really hard on when the speakers come in here and the coaches, tell you something. You really have to concentrate on your own. When you get in by yourself in the gym, you really have to work on it. Because if you don't, somebody else will, and they'll make that spot on the team. And one other thing I can tell you is, some of you guys may not be as better than the other guys on your team, but as you get older, you'll see the guys who work harder, they'll overpass, they're overdeveloped, and they'll get better and better. And those guys who are ranked higher, you get guys that say, this guy's going to be in the NBA, this guy's going to make the team. There's always somebody telling you that somebody's better than the other. Well, the guys who work hard and stick with it, they're for sure going to pass them up over in the end. Because the NBA is full with guys who gets in the league 1 year, and then they're out. And there's some guys who come from a country you never heard of, a college you never heard of, and then you become stars. With that, I can open it up for questions for you guys. If you want to ask me anything about the career, whatever.
Who's got any questions?
Any questions? Yeah.
Do you prefer the European style play or the American style play?
Well, I wish I had went to Europe first, and then I would have had a longer NBA career. For example, my friend plays for the Heat. He guarded, scored on the last bucket. But he was undrafted. He was an undrafted rookie from Florida, and he should have got drafted. And he was so disappointed and distraught. He wanted just to end his career, just play over in Europe. And he got with a good coach over there. And every day, the coaches in Europe, I mean, we would go weeks almost without playing 5-on-5. Training camp was just dribbling, 2 balls, no big guys. So everybody did the same thing, same to guards and forwards. Dribbles, stuff we never, like, why are we doing this? We had no idea. There was a drill, for example, that Udonis, he had not so good hands, but it's a soccer mentality over there. So there was a drill where the player had to sit under the basket, and the coach would sit at half court and kick the ball as hard as he could. And when he slapped his hand, he kicked the ball, and you had to turn around and catch the ball. Sometimes he would get hit in the head. Drills like that, and the mentality over there, as far as coaching, team first, fundamentals, and training your muscles, footwork, simple stuff like that. I didn't learn until I got in Europe. A lot of the things I learned in Europe, I had to do it, in college, and when I got into the NBA, because I wasn't a point guard, for example. I was a 2 guard, and I was too small to play point guard in the NBA. I developed into being a really good point guard in Europe. Hence, by the time I tried to go back to the NBA, different situations, I didn't end up in the right place at the right time like I did my rookie year. So that style of play, the learning part in Europe is better, I think, in my opinion. As far as creativity and developing your game, I think being here in the States, it allows for you to be a little bit more creative. I think that's it's better on this end. I think in that. that answers your question. So. All right.
Was it like a good feeling, like when you're playing in the NBA, a special game, and then like you come in and all these people around you in these big stadiums and stuff?
Yeah, actually, that's another point I would like to make. Is like when I was in the NBA, instead of me being confident, like and being like, okay, I can be here, I'm just as good as these guys, I was in awe. And a lot of players do that. I mean, they can tell you you're gonna be good, you're gonna do this. Like for example, we got a Spanish player on our team, he's coming next year, and everybody's saying this kid is good, he's gonna be good. But eventually, you're gonna be on the court, and there are gonna be all these players that read the newspaper, and they understand. Okay, this guy says he's good. You gotta go against me. You know what I mean? You gotta go. What's your name? Badu. You gotta go against Badu. He's gonna bust you up, man. He's gonna go at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So confidence is key. I mean, if you go out and practice and you have a bad practice, and the coach get on you, and he teaches you something, he's going over, you gotta still believe in yourself, no matter what. I don't care what level you are, and what sport you are. You can look at the Miami Heat. There was some players that wasn't as confident. I don't care how good you say they are. I mean, how good, if you're a king or whatever, if you're not confident in yourself, you lose that confidence. Tiger Woods, for example, in golf, if you lose that confidence, that's a constant struggle. So you gotta be arrogant to an extent, have an ego to an extent, and just believe in yourself always, no matter what. Okay?
Who was your toughest player you played against?
Toughest player I played against, probably in college and in the NBA, was Nick Van Exel, the toughest player I had to guard. I mean, I used to guard him, and I swear, he would be like 0 for 13, and the score would be tied, and he would make the last shot. I mean, he was just one of those type of players. I mean, he just, in the crunch time, those guys, I mean, he was a tough guy. Really Nick the Quick was what they used to call him. So he got the Lakers shirt on. He used to play for the Lakers. So back in the day. All right.
Was it hard to play in the NBA?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really hard for me to get to the NBA. It was hard to stay. I got a chance. I think everybody who works to a certain extent. I mean, if you got the athletic ability, which I had, and if you got the confidence and you're in the right place at the right time, I mean, you get a chance. You get a scout. I don't care if you're in the smallest jungle in South America or wherever. I mean, there are scouts, there are coaches, there's somebody going to find you. Just when you get an opportunity, you got to take advantage of it, And that's where a lot of players, that some of the greatest players of all time have never played in the NBA, just somewhere on the playground shooting. Right.
Where did you live during your NBA career? In a villa or a hotel?
I live downtown in a corporate apartment. Yep. Downtown. Okay.
How many practices do you have in the NBA per day?
Well, training camp, we had like 3 practices. It was tough. And then like in the NBA, we had so many games. We really didn't practice that much. Some guys, will play a lot of minutes, and the veteran guys, and the guys that were making a lot of money, it's kind of hard. That's why it's so hard to coach the NBA, because the coaching is, you just got to manage egos, and then you got to count on guys to be professional. So like when you get young guys from college or from high school who, like for example, don't come from Europe, or don't come from a good college, or have a good high school coach to teach them those fundamentals, then, man, it's kind of hard to make them do it on their own. Those guys, you see it in the media, for example, I don't know if you remember Allen Iverson was like, practice? It's not going to practice. It's kind of hard to make guys do it. But now, you can see the guys who are really, going to the next level. Like for example, he shot 1,000 jump shots a day, every day. His jump shot just improved. Those guys chasing history, they're not really chasing a paycheck. They want to be Hall of Fame, greatest players of the game. If you get one of those guys on your team, and then like you may be that guy, then all the other guys follow that guy, and they're going to the gym on their own. At night. vacation and get, I mean, it's up to you to be a professional at that level. Any other questions? All right.
What was your biggest moment in your career?
Biggest moment, I would say probably I was the MVP of an All-Star game in France. It was in 2000. I was playing in Dijon. The teams I played on was, started with the Timberwolves, and then I went to Cyprus, and then I was in France for 7 years. Well, actually the CBA, I was there for a little bit. And actually I had all intentions of going to the NBA, but there was a lockout in 2000, 99, 2000 also. So I had to make a decision for myself and my family to get a paycheck, to get paid, or to wait and see if there was, the NBA would unlock. So I went to France. Actually I went to Spain that year. And I stayed in Spain for 3 years. It's a really good country, really competitive. I think the closest to the NBA was Spain back then. Then I came back, I tried the NBA again. Didn't get a guaranteed contract, so I went overseas and finished my career in France. 7 years there, 3 years, 1 year in Dijon, 5 years in Chalon, and 1 year in Strasbourg, which is close to Germany. So go to Heidelberg all the time in those places. So it was cool. All right. Yep.
Were you a scoring point guard?
Yeah, actually I was. Because all my career I was a two guard, and I could dribble the ball pretty good, but didn't really have a coach that helped me concentrate on ball handling. And the only thing I used to do was dunk. I used to win all the dunk contests. YouTube, you can see me dunking over in Europe somewhere. Just dunking. That's all I wanted to do. And then sooner or later, my athleticism, I couldn't dominate the guys in the NBA. I couldn't dominate guys on the higher college levels. Like when I made it to the NCAA, you had to use some of your other skill sets. And then that's when I went to Europe and I developed ball handling, learning how to play with the team. We had my coach, all 5 guys had to know the point guard position. All 5 guys had to know every position on the court. That's when you start to think, okay, there's more to the game than just dunking the ball or crossing over somebody and laughing at them, talking. That was important for me in my career, to have a long career in Europe, because there are a lot of guys that go to Europe, and big name guys, and then before you know it, they get released from the team because they can't take it. You take a guy like, for example, I don't know if you know Fragen der US. I think it helped him to go to Europe, then come straight from high school and NBA. For sure, I think he would have been a bust. But he went to Europe, he didn't play at all. Same kind of career in which, I shouldn't be calling the name, the guy, the Spanish guy we got on our time. The same career, Brandon Jennings, he didn't play a lot of games. Some games he played 2 minutes, some games he didn't play. But every day in practice, I guarantee you, the coach was running him, he was doing all those drills, and lo and behold, his rookie year, he had 55 games, and the game was so slow for him. Scott Skiles, who was one of the toughest coaches in the NBA, he was able to just make that transition into that system really easy. The same thing when he left for my team in France, he played for Pat Riley. And Pat Riley is the toughest coach ever, probably. They coach like old school. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a belt out on the court. You can ask Magic Johnson, all those guys. Pat Riley is a throwback coach, so he was able to make that transition straight into the NBA. So, all right, fellas.